Hello guys and welcome to episode 67 of my Rome 2 Total War campaign with the Iceni tribe. Today we have our armies to move once again. So we're going to start by having a look at the spear runners, not the burning men, because of course they're still in Camalodunum. But these guys have just finished dealing with the revolt here. And I'm going to upgrade this chieftain's hold to a warlord's hold so that we can increase the happiness even further, even though we have two shrines of Rosmerta, or groves of Rosmerta, being finished in a couple of turns. Hopefully by then the revolt risk will have gone down slightly, but it does look like it's going to revolt in a couple of turns if I'm not careful. Then if we go to the noble stags, I'm really tempted to move them out, but if I do it goes down to -22 and it doesn't give the groves time to finish in order to sort out the happiness in the settlement. Then we have the consorts of Morrigan. Now these guys are helping out down south with the rebellion of the Egyptians, which has occurred once again. But now we can convert the culture of these places to ones of our own, and that should make the settlement a lot more happy, or the province in this case a lot more happy. The Shrine of Rosmerta in Memphis is finished in one turn, but I'm probably going to leave this Egyptian rebellion going on here for a little bit until I can sort out my settlements, and then I can destroy it and move on. But in the meantime, I'm actually going to use the Mists of Doom and head them up towards Jerusalem. Because in the last turn, some of you may know that I am intending to go to war with the Seleucids, Bithynia, and Pontus at the same time. And this will be my army that will hit Jerusalem against the Seleucids, if they join the war, that is. For all I know, they might not, but let's have a look at what skill we can upgrade for this War Maiden. I think we're going to go with Valor, so that we get a -12 morale for all units in the target army. Now, if we move on from the Mists of Doom, we get the Will of Andrasta. Because the Shrine of Rosmerta is almost finished here, I might be able to move them out. Yep, yeah I can, which is really nice. And we're going to move him through the Rhodos' lands. It is trespassing, but they are currently my allies, so hopefully they won't take too much offense. What I might actually do is try and get a basically a military alliance with these specific nations like Knossos and the Odrysian Kingdom, so they actually come to help me when I attack another person.
Friend. Let us break bread and drink ale before words pass our lips.
So I'm going to try and offer them some money. So I want it to be an offer, not a demand. Let's go to payments. We can offer them 6,000. Well, I actually only have 3,800 in my purse, so that's all I can offer, and it doesn't look like the likelihood of success is going to be high enough. We can try anyway. Doesn't look like it's going to work. Let's try with Knossos.
Greetings, friend. Greetings.
Nope, they don't want it either. What about Boy? Now they're right in the middle, and they share my culture, so they might be more inclined. Not at all. See, my balance of power is like massively higher than theirs, but it seems they don't care, which is annoying. Anyway, let's get a defensive alliance
your embassy, inspired as it undoubtedly is
with
by
Rhodos,
the
if we
wit and
can.
wisdom of Athena herself.
No, we can't. It seems the diplomacy seems like it's so broken. I've got all these trade agreements with people. People love me, like they're very friendly with me, but they just refuse to have a defensive alliance. It's really frustrating. Like Knossos is 159 total attitude value towards me, yet they refuse to have a military alliance with me, even though I'm probably the most powerful in the world. It doesn't quite make sense, which is really frustrating. Anyway, if any faction attacks me, they're my defensive allies, so that means they'll help me out in that case. If I go to war with the Seleucids by myself, that will cause them not to help me. And therefore I'll be on my own. Which doesn't necessarily matter too much, because the enemy still won't travel through the Odorisian Kingdom's land, which basically protects half my kingdom anyway. So, let's continue on with the movement of troops. The Swords of Power are at Phanagoria. I'm going to declare war on Pontus. Their allies are Pergamon, Bithynia and the Seleucids. See who joins to help them.
We march then into an uncertain future. You and I
huge
may
war.
die, but that is unimportant. But your ruination matters.
Here we go. Phanagoria. Our first battle in the war against the Seleucids, Bithynians and Pontus. Alright, let's take this onto the battle map and destroy these mob levy pikemen and eastern spearmen. Raining. Oh, we don't want that. Let's keep it nice and dry so I can use my ballistas at their max range. And we're going to basically put some of my ballistas towards the sea. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that I can utterly destroy any ships that may be facing in that direction. So there could be some ships out here which I might want to destroy. I'm tempted to put some ballistas on the other side, but I don't want to split up my forces too much, and I don't want to spend too much time deploying when I know that I'm going to probably win this battle. So let's go ahead and move my army to the middle here, where I know I can just charge through and kill them all. We'll get all of my men to line up nicely, with my veteran riders there as well. So I might take a couple of units to defend these ballistas just in case, and my heroic nobles can come to the center with my last 2 units of ballistas. Now the ballistas can just sit in the middle of all my men, and we're going to start the battle there. We'll start wandering the guys forwards.
Listen to me. Those bastards over there are quaking in their boots.
Actually, we don't want these swordsmen to come over,
Sitting where they stand.
so we're going to slowly move these guys forwards.
Over there.
These 2 units of Briton ballistas can fire into the middle of these guys with explosive rounds. And that is a lot of men moving there. Maybe we can get some really nice shots. Looks like a lot of damage was already done with the first volley. Here comes the second. And that's still a significant amount of damage done there. Here comes the second, third volley. And this unit is the one that's being targeted here, the Levy pikemen. That's why they are taking the brunt of the attack. Well, actually, never mind, it's the Eastern Slingers that are targeted. I'm going to target these Eastern Spearmen at the back with 1 unit, and then these Briton ballistas can actually hit the Levy pikemen at the front, and hopefully that will spread out the shots enough to hit the majority of the army. And let's start to move forwards the men. I'm actually going to get my slingers to run forwards and force them to attack me, because I want to finish this battle with as many men as possible, so that I can move the army on if I need to. Okay, well these guys aren't doing anything because the ships are on the other side, so we're going to move the ballistas up into range of the square and start firing them from this direction.
Slingers! Chosen swords!
Okay, let's move the Chosen Sword Band behind the lines and let the slingers take care of these Eastern Spearmen.
Take aim! Ready!
Slingers! Quick! Reload!
I'm actually going to change the slingers' targets to these Eastern Slingers over here. Hopefully I'll be a lot more effective at killing them than they will at killing me, because I have an overwhelming numbers advantage. See, a lot of them are dying very, very easily. Meanwhile over here, still got the shots coming in from the ballistas, blowing up their entire army. Now, as soon as these guys are in range, I'll tell them to attack as well. I'm not entirely sure what their range is. It's just about here at the moment.
Slingers! We will pierce their hearts! Sons of
the slingers still doing a really good job here. They've managed to make the slingers actually flee. Now we can just finish off these eastern spearmen. And with that many slingers firing at them, these guys are going to die so quickly.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
And that will be the ballistas. And there we go, job done. Let's get the sword band to run forwards. Yeah, chosen spear band can follow up. And now we're going to go and get the veteran riders to charge down some of these javelin units that have come from the boats.
veteran riders! The oaks are our strength! Kill them all! Veteran riders!
And the last thing I want to do is charge into these spears on the right here, but I am going to try and attack these Pontic peltasts.
Swordman! Charge!
See how much damage this mob takes in the back. Oh, look at that. Wrecked.
Britons!
My 2 units of
Charge!
veteran riders managing to cut off these eastern javelin men.
Quickly!
And now we're going to tell them to retreat before the Pontic peltasts actually have a chance to fight back.
Our spears are yours!
Let's charge forwards now into the square.
Britons!
Finish off their army before we take too many missile shots. So, chosen swords are going to charge from this direction. Hopefully we can actually cut them off in the street, and then I can get my veteran riders to go around the right and kill them off.
Kill! Kill! Kill!
So it turns out we bumped into some levy pikemen here. I didn't actually see them, which is a bit annoying. But what I'm going to do is actually surround them, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem. They should disintegrate if they're being hit from the flanks, and that is exactly what's happening. I've got my veteran riders attacking this levy pikeman unit and these Pontic peltasts on the right.
Veteran riders!
Clear them up,
Turning in our favor.
and we can continue our chosen swords and spears chasing down this group of men on the right. So it looks like we've broken through the middle here, taking a lot of missile fire, so we're going to press forwards, try and kill off the rest of these men. And they're actually taking missile fire from my last ballista unit, which has ammo. Okay, so it looks like my veteran riders have done their job. Now I'm going to form them up behind this group of men, charge into the back lines. We're going to have to continue to pursue the missile units so that they don't turn around and start firing on me again. If they keep running, I can just chase them down with the horses. Now here comes the frenzied charge. Into the back of these men they go. Nice flanking maneuver there. It's going to break those forces. Now we've got the veteran riders coming down from this side. With a frenzied charge, we can kill even more of them. keep them moving, and that's victory. Because it's a city battle, there's no need to chase them, so we're going to end the battle there. Decisive victory. We lost 142 men, they lost 2,037. Surprisingly fair in terms of numbers, but I think the skill of my units really showed in that battle. We managed to get a lot of extra ranks on our units, which is nice. And we're going to go ahead and raise the settlement. Actually, no, we need to sack it, don't we? In order to increase our victory conditions. So we can sack that. Then we're going to attack it again with an auto-resolve, aggressive stance, and Phanagoria is ours. Yeah, like I said, the only reason I sack it first is because I want to be able to complete the victory conditions as soon as possible.
Ready for orders.
So there is a huge army of Cimmerian rebels sitting right next to the settlement, which I did not see. And now we have to deal with the happiness in this area. Doesn't look like I can actually afford to fix any of this stuff. I have to dismantle it, which is kind of annoying. Oh well, dismantle it is. And that will get rid of the negative public order due to devastation. Now we have a Braucus's Vanquishers here ready to help out at Phanagoria. And then they're going to, once they get onto this land, actually head to Phasis here, take the next Pontus settlement. So a nice war that we've got started now. We can move on to the Woad Warriors down south, which are going to have to stay in Diospolis to deal with the Egyptian rebels. Now it turns out the general of the Swords of Power has increased his skill, so we're going to give him Warrior to increase his zeal, and later his military combat skills. He also doesn't have a household, so I might take this opportunity to give him one. Now the plus 5% morale for all units is great, but sometimes there is better things that I can add. Just going to quickly scroll through them to see if there's anything like research that I could use. I think Warhelm will be the best one. Plus 1 authority when leading an army, and plus 5% morale for all units. So we'll give him that. And we got faction encountered, Parthavia, or Parthaba, and Persia. Persia's all the way down here. Settlement sacked, settlement captured. Let's just quickly have a look. I think I've moved all the armies that I can now. So let's go ahead and click the end turn button.
I offer peace as I would throw a rope to a drowning man. Well, do you wish to clamber aboard?
So currently I'm at war with a lot of people. I didn't actually notice this, but I think because I declared war on Pontus, who was allies with Bithynia and Seleucids, the Seleucids were allied with Persia and all that kind of stuff, and it's dragged so many people into the war with me. So now I'm actually at war with Parthava, Persia, Pergamon, Sardes, Media, Blemies, Bithynia, Pontus, the Seleucids, and of course the slaves. Now, that may be a bit of an issue, but Pontus want a peace treaty, and I'm not necessarily sure if this is a good idea. I'm basically going to be able to take over the province of Caucasia from the Aorsi and Pontus, basically with the army that's heading down there. So I'm not entirely sure if that's a great idea, but then again, in order to make sure that I'm not fighting on multiple fronts, it might be a good idea. I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and decline for now. Keep things interesting. And we'll see what happens. Well, it seems I've woken the world in the last turn. There was a lot of enemy movement, which is actually pretty scary. Now, the most noticeable thing was that Bithynia has started to move their armies up towards Petradavar and also towards Malva. Now, this is basically encouraging me to create an army in both of these settlements. I can have multiple armies. I don't think I'm anywhere near the limit at the moment. I currently have 10 out of 16 armies. So it definitely might be worth taking advantage of the maximum amount of armies. So let's go ahead and create a new army at Petradavar. And that's going to be done by raising some forces. We're going to get him as a member of the Elder Chiefs. Raise an army there. They're going to be heroic riders. And we're going to recruit painted ones, heavy freemen, slingers. And that should enable us to build a reasonably balanced army. It's not going to be very powerful, but at least I won't get caught out by these units. Although these seem to be... That's a navy, and I think so is that. So, yeah, the only thing I need to be worried about is they're going to travel all the way down this river, which I didn't even know was possible. But I'm going to have to be careful that they don't take any actual armies down there, because they can really catch me out. Penios is being pursued across the desert by a Seleucid noblewoman, and
What would you have of me?
Penios is probably my most renowned agent. I'm actually going to use him to assassinate the noblewoman if he can. Oh no! Penios got wounded. Well, he's really old, and I'm surprised he hasn't actually died yet, but looks like he's getting close, losing his finesse at assassination. Right, we're going to try and attack this noble now of the Seleucids, who basically tried to wreck my settlement last turn. And it looks like a positive outcome is 74% in my favour. See what happens. Enemy wounded. Well, that's good, and hopefully we'll rank up from that. We'll see. Possibly? No? Don't know? Taking his pure time. Anyway, Anauni still got to move through this province. So she's going to sit on the edge here and do her administration thing. Then we've got Adiatorix going to be doing the same near Ammonium. We got Cladios up north, who's going to continue to convert the populace of Ponta Caspia. So I'm going to move him towards Olbia and then set him to administration. And we can get Brugia to continue towards Ammonium as well and set her to do her administration.
Is there nothing more?
Okay, the Iron Winds can continue heading towards the Seleucids, because I am of course going to bump into Seleucid navies. We've got the Burning Men at Cameladunan, the Spear Runners, going to have to stick around in Solica, the Noble Stags over at Samandar, which are going to have to stay there. Then we've got the Consorts of Morrigan in Myos Homos, waiting to be able to get out of there. But obviously these Egyptian rebels are in range of both Myos Homos and Diospolis at the moment, so as long as I want to use the rebels to increase my public order in the province, I need to make sure they have armies in both settlements. Then I have Abraucus's Vanquishers up north. Now, Abraucus's Vanquishers, are these the ones in the settlement? I don't think they are, but it looks like the settlement needs upgrading anyway, so we're going to fill these empty slots with a Sacred Enclosure and a Artisan's Lodge. And then I'm actually going to use Abraucus's Vanquishers to attack the Cimmerian rebels. So the Cimmerian rebels have retreated retreated from my sword band and my spear band, and they have a lot of cavalry, a lot of citizen cavalry, some militia hoplites, young axes. It's a really nice, well-rounded force that they have there that could be pretty hard to attack. So what I might do is use Abraucus's Vanquishers to occupy Phanagoria and take the Swords of Power out, which is a much better force, and attack the rebel army. So let's move them out. We'll move Abraxas Vanquishers back in, and they can attack the rebel army. So we have a much larger advantage in this case. We have a really nice Chosen Swordband, Chosen Spearband units. We've got Veteran Riders, we've got Ballistas. A lot of things that they don't have. And we're fighting on grassland, which is nice open fields, in order to destroy their forces. So we'll see how this goes, and fight it on the battle map. So we're going to wait for the fog to disappear. Don't need rain. Well, looks like it's going to have to be fog then. We're going to get these ballistas to the front. And I'm actually going to move them more to the right because it looks like that's where the majority of their army is. I don't know if it's just because they're hidden behind trees, but either way, it doesn't make too much of a difference. We'll get the spears to line up behind them, with a couple of units on the left, a couple of units on the right. Then we can move the Chosen Swordband in between. If we get the slingers out of the way. I'm actually going to keep the slingers at the back because they have a extreme amount of cavalry, which will mean that they can get picked off very easily. And we'll keep the heroic nobles at the back as well. Keep all my veteran riders together on one side, and I think this is about as good as it's going to get in terms of formation. Going to keep a nice line because generally that's what the enemy does, and the last thing we need to get overwhelmed and flanked. So we're going to grab all the infantry. We're going to set them into a locked formation, and if the enemy doesn't move towards me, then I shall move towards them. It looks like they are coming with a few men. These are their steppe horse archers. Probably be the first targets actually of my ballistas. Looks like the majority of my men are hidden behind the fog at the moment though, which is interesting. I've got a tiny feeling that I am going to be slightly off skew here with my army, but we'll see. I'm actually going to stop these guys from firing at will for now until the majority of their army gets in range, and I can actually start firing at the targets that I would like to start firing at instead of these useless steppe archers. So let's grab this unit, put them on fire at will, and we'll target the steppe horse archers. This one can do the same. We'll target these steppe horse archers. And now this unit, now that the steppe lancers have got in range, we can start targeting this unit. So that's killing off a lot of these horses. Killing a lot of the lancers as well there. See, all of the horses are dying. We're going to basically make sure that we don't waste many of the stones, because obviously they are limited in ammo. So now what I'm actually going to do is pause it here and change the targets of my men. So we'll get these guys to fire on these cavalry, these ones to fire on these cavalry, and these ones to fire on these cavalry. That should be a lot better off. I'm going to get my front line of infantry to actually move forwards. And we shall play. Slingers can move to behind the ballistas. And looks like they're going to try and actually charge into my spearband. If that's not actually going to happen, then I don't really mind. Okay, so we've managed to clash into one of their steppe lancers units there. And we're going to use these veteran riders to attack their citizen cavalry. We'll get these chosen spearmen to break off and intercept the steppe lancers.
The battle is turning in our favour.
Okay. My front line seems to be holding, so we're going to charge forwards a little bit into some of these units. Make sure that we engage them properly. We'll keep the ballistas facing forwards so they don't keep targeting the horses. I'm going to get this swordman unit that isn't engaged to help out on the left flank. I'm going to tell the spear units to chase after the cavalry. Looks like I've managed to engage these citizen cavalry here with spears, which is nice. Over on the left we're doing very well, causing them to run away. Horsemen are chasing off the steppe horse archers of the enemy. It looks like some citizen hoplites are actually chasing my horsemen, so I'm actually going to have to get those out of there. I'm drawing out my forces now as my ballistas continue to fire on the enemy. I'm going to change them all to explosive shots now so I can see where they're firing, and tell them to fire at these young axes. Looks like these steppe horses archers haven't had enough. They're turning back now. Got these units of men charging forwards against javelin men. And the Briton ballistas who will continue to fire forwards as my men struggle to keep up. Now my men are of course running in full armour, so they're not going to be as fast as the enemy. Might be worth bringing over my horse units though to help run the rest of the army down. So I don't want them to escape with many men, to be honest, because otherwise I'm going to have to attack them again. Either way, it looks like I may be forced to just end the battle here, otherwise it will be a very long wait. And we're going to leave it with a decisive victory. There we go, 119 losses for us, and 1,625 for them. It's going to leave their army alive, probably. Never mind, that did kill them off. Well, that works for me. We managed to destroy that army, and it actually left a mark on the map for a heroic battle, which I'm perfectly happy with. So we're going to give him the soldier skill to increase his zeal and his charge bonus for all units in the army. And that has unfortunately been my time. So, hopefully you guys have enjoyed episode 67. The battle has just begun. We're in the war against Pontus, the Seleucids, the Bithynians, the Persians, all of those nations that I listed out earlier. It's a huge war. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.